No more extension for RRB's voluntary tax disclosure program. You're watching the evening edition of News on 2. I'm Adrian Sept. The Human Resources Ministry will check on claims that several private skills training institutes had failed to provide Skills Development Fund, Cooperation or PTPK loans to its students. Its Minister M. Kulasegaran said although he had not read the claims made by several students in a Malay daily, he was certain his officers would check on the allegations. When met by reporters at the Green Earth program in Ipoh, Perak today, Kula said there are always sufficient loans under PTPK, and institutes offering courses recognized by the ministry will be given the loans in installments to be provided to the students.
Dulu kita anak didikan oleh dia ada proses tindakan dia akan pergi cek sama dia. Kita dah kerap kali kita turun padan, kita punya officer turun padan pergi cek, dan jika ada apa-apa tindakan sedemikian, tindakan terus akan diambil, termasuk untuk menanam kerugian bayaran dan juga mengheret masyarakat.
Kula was asked to comment on an article by a local daily today that many students had to stop their courses halfway in such private institutes after failing to secure the promised loans. It was reported that after studying for 6 months, they had no choice but to leave the institutes when they were unable to pay their fees. The training institutes had prior to that made promises to the students that they would receive loans if they enrolled in their colleges. The government will not be extending the Inland Revenue Board's or IRB's Special Voluntary Disclosure Program or SVDP, which ends tomorrow. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said those who have yet to report their taxes, whether deliberately or not, will have until tomorrow to submit their tax report.
Kita harap semua boleh gunakan kesempatan ini kerana tidak ada lanjutan. Tapi sungguh pun mereka bentangkan esok ia masih sah kerana mungkin proses akan makan 2 minggu 1 bulan. Tapi masih sah kerana dilaporkan pada 30 September itu hari terakhir.
Speaking to reporters after launching the Road Safety Department's Drive Safe With Us program at Jalan Raja Uda in Pulau Pinang today, Lim said those who fail to report their taxes by tomorrow would face a minimum penalty rate of 45% and up to a maximum of 300% as stipulated under the Income Tax Act 1967. The SVDP, which began on the 3rd of November last year, was initially scheduled to end on the 30th of June this year, but it was extended to the end of this month following positive response. Under the SVDP, taxpayers who come forward and voluntarily declare their misreported income and deductions will be offered a low penalty rate of only 15%. The National Registration Department, or NRD, today lodged a police report on the claims made by Twitter and Facebook accounts holder Tengku Raja Alam Shah regarding a posting entitled 200,000 new recipients of citizenship vow to repay the government. Its director, Dato' Ruslin Jusoh, said the report was made at 11 a.m. today at the Putrajaya Police Headquarters to enable police to conduct an investigation into the claims, as the article contained false information. Dato' Ruslin said the number of people stated in the claim was false and unreasonable, as the process of obtaining citizenship was very complicated and involved a tight procedure.
Laporan ini dibuat untuk meminta pihak polis menyiasat perkara ini sama ada akaun palsu ataupun akaun benar, dan sekiranya akaun benar saya minta pihak polis menyiasat secara terperinci. Terutamanya pihak kita meminta pemohon pemilik akaun tersebut membuktikan kepada kita, hadir kepada kita ke JPN membuktikan terdapat 200 penerima atau pemilik CJ warga negara tersebut.
Yesterday, the NRD issued a statement denying the claims, which went viral on the social media, alleging that the Pakatan Harapan government had given out citizenships to 200,000 people. The ministry said the allegations made by Twitter account holder Tengku Raja Alam Shah were untrue, as since the change of government in May of last year, only 4,000 citizenships were given to eligible people.
Nanti Datuk keluar sini sikit, Dok.
The Bahasa Melayu Paper 1 and 2 for the Form 3 assessment or PT3 examinations scheduled to be held on the 30th of September have been postponed to the 9th of October nationwide. The Education Ministry in a statement issued also said the Bahasa Melayu Komunikasi and English for Communication papers for the Pendidikan Asas Vocational Examination slated for 30th of September have also been postponed to the 3rd of October across the country. The ministry said this comes after a 2-day holiday announced for this Sunday and Monday for Kelantan as a mark of respect for the death of the 28th Sultan of Kelantan, Sultan Ismail Petra Almarhum Sultan Yahya Petra, today. The written tests for the PT3 examinations were supposed to begin on the 30th of September and the exams would go on until the 8th of October. The government has yet to decide whether the Unified Examination Certificate or UEC should be recognized in Peninsular Malaysia. Speaking to reporters after launching the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia and Sijil Tinggi Persekolahan Malaysia Sentuhan Kasih program for schools under Simpang Renggam Parliamentary Constituency in Kelang, Johor today, Education Minister Dr. Mazli Malik said currently the ministry is still awaiting the UEC Review Committee's report on the matter. When asked about the Sabah government's move in recognizing the UEC, Dr. Mazli said that was the decision of the state. Last night, Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Shafie Apdal, in his speech at the Mooncake Festival in Kota Kinabalu, said the state government recognizes the UEC as the entrance qualification for public institutions of higher learning and the state civil service sector. Meanwhile, on claims that a Year 4 pupil in Lika Sabah was tortured with a stapler as punishment for not completing his schoolwork 2 days ago, Dr. Mazli said he was waiting for the investigation report. He added that the Education Ministry has instructed the Sabah Education Department to carry out a thorough investigation into the case. Federal Territories Minister Khalid Abdul Samad says the amount of rent areas of a DBKL-owned People's Housing Project or PPR and public housing or PA flats in the city are now amounting to 58 million ringgit. He said the areas identified by the Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur DBKL dated back to tens of years, and the main excuse given by the tenants for not being able to settle the areas was that they were unemployed. Elaborating further on the matter, Khalid said DBKL has pioneered the career carnival at PA Desa Rejang with cooperation from Jobs Malaysia in a bid to help the PA and PPR tenants to help them find suitable jobs to settle their rent areas.
Tunjukkan kepedulian dan keprihatinan yang ditunjukkan oleh pihak DBKL terhadap penghuni di sini, di mana seperti mana yang kita tahu soal tunggakan sewa memang satu masalah besar, ya. Tetapi kita tak nak bertindak dengan begitu sahaja tanpa terlebih dahulu kita cuba menyelesaikan masalah-masalah yang dihadapi oleh penghuni, ya. So kita target mereka-mereka yang tak bayar sewa ni dan kita bawa Jobs Malaysia untuk bertemu dengan mereka dan insya-Allah dengan itu cuba carikan kerja untuk mereka, yang mana dengan itu kalau dia orang dah dapat kerja dia boleh start bayar baliklah dia punya sewa dan sebagainya.
He was speaking after attending the Wilayah Peduli Initiative program in Setapak, Kuala Lumpur. Meanwhile, 38 units of PPR will be assigned to police personnel and officers in an effort to reduce crime rate and drug usage. According to Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Commissioner Datuk Mazlan Lazim, a total of 494 crimes were recorded at PPR areas and 42 cases in PA areas in Kuala Lumpur between the 1st of January and the 26th of September of 2019. Datuk Mazlan also said more than 1,000 arrests were made due to drug-related offences in PPR areas. Police are targeting to collect 750,000 ringgit in outstanding summonses through an operation dubbed Operasi Saman Tertunggak Warga Negara Asing 10 in Johor Bahru, Johor. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigations and Enforcement Department Deputy Director, Senior Assistant Commissioner Dato' Muhammad Nazri Hussain said the operation, which started last Friday, managed to collect 611,000 ringgit as at 10 a.m. today. When met by reporters at Museum Tokoh Johor Bahru today, SAC Dato' Muhammad Nazri said the operation was aimed at Singaporean drivers who had outstanding summonses from 2000 until this year. He also said the 611,000 ringgit collected involved 3,174 summonses that were settled by 2,687 Singaporeans and 487 Malaysians.
Kita dapat kesan satu kenderaan yang mempunyai 116 saman. Satu kenderaan saja. Kenderaan daripada Singapura ni mempunyai 116 saman dan dia telah membayar saman itu lebih kurang 28,000 untuk satu kenderaan saja.
He added that the operation was also in line with the enforcement of Vehicle Entry Permit or VEP on the 1st of October. SAC Dato' Muhammad Nazri said a payment can be made throughout Singapore from 900 available AXS machines, aside from checking their summonses via myeg.com.my or relac.com.my. He added that payment can also be made at the COPS traffic payment counters at all district police headquarters, aside from Post Malaysia and Maybank ATMs. On another note, Malaysia and Singapore have agreed to extend the deadline to decide on the Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System Link or RTS Link project by another month. Now, the Transport Ministry in a statement said the deadline has been extended to the 31st of October this year without involving any additional costs. The supplemental agreement to suspend the RTS link from the 1st of April to the 30th of September was signed by Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Fook and Singapore's Coordinating Minister for Infrastructure and Minister for Transport Khaw Boon Wan on the 21st of May this year. The project was initially scheduled for construction this year and expected to be completed by December of 2024. It was aimed at addressing congestion in the daily commute between the two countries. The RTS link project will cover 4 kilometers of rail linking Bukit Chaga in Johor Bahru and Woodlands in Singapore, with a capacity to ferry 10,000 passengers per hour. According to Loke, under the original agreement, the one-way fare was set at 15 ringgit and would burden some Malaysians who travel daily to Singapore for work. Coming up, a direct debt arises as a government refuses to offer balance sheet financing. That story up next. You're watching News on 2. A mechanic who was travelling over 200 kilometres from Pontian, Johor to Alor Gajah, Melaka to meet his fiancée had to cancel his plan after his motorcycle was seized in an operation by the Road Transport Department or RTD in Alor Gajah, Melaka Jasin or AMJ Highway near Bukit Serinding. Now, Melaka RTD Director Muhammad Firdaus Sharif said a motorcycle had to be seized as the mechanic had no valid licence and the registration number did not follow the RTD specifications. Muhammad Firdaus said in the 4-hour operation that started since 9:30 p.m., 614 vehicles were inspected and 389 summonses issued by the RTD. A total of 12 vehicles were also seized, including 10 motorcycles, a van and a car.
Dari segi kesalahan, kita pada hari ini dapat mengesal sebanyak 436 kesalahan yang berlaku. Yang mana paling tinggi adalah tiada CDL, LKN tambah tempoh dan juga tiada perlindungan insurans. Itu majoriti sekali utama lah. Sebanyak 12 kenderaan tadi disita. Melibatkan motosikal dan juga motor van dan juga kereta.
The operation also involved 146 officer and members of the RTD, Royal Malaysian Police, National Anti-Drug Agency or AADK, Malaysia Customs Department, Malacca Immigration Department, Road Safety Department and the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. In the same operation, AADK also apprehended 2 men aged 30 and 35 as they were found positive for methamphetamine, while Malacca Immigration Department apprehended 2 Indonesians believed to have overstayed in the country. The Finance Ministry said Malaysia's direct debt rose from 50.1% of gross domestic product or GDP in 2017 to 51.2% in 2018. Its Minister Lim Guan Eng said this despite the government's total debt and liabilities being reduced from 79.3% of GDP in 2017 to 75.4% in 2018. In a statement released today, Lim said the ministry decided not to resort to off-balance sheet financing to cover up dubious debts. He said the ministry has carried out a comprehensive review of the government's financial obligations, which confirmed the country had accumulated 1.087 trillion ringgit of debt and liabilities as at the end of 2017. This was also confirmed by the Bipartisan Special Parliamentary Special Committee on the Budget in their report on the 17th of July of 2019. Lim added that the ministry remains committed to its fiscal consolidation while at the same time ensuring that Malaysia remains on a sustainable growth path, despite the weak global economic environment. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister noted that the government is also actively pursuing the recovery of assets from misappropriated funds by 1 MDB globally and has recovered approximately 925.1 million ringgit to date, excluding the sale of mega yacht Equanimity for 523 million ringgit. The founder of Medical Relief Society Malaysia or Mercy Malaysia, Tan Sri Dr. Jamilah Mahmud, was presented with the Humanitarian Leadership Award. Now, the award was presented for her contribution and a pivotal role in the organization for the last 2 decades. The royal patron of Mercy Malaysia, Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Shah, presented the award at the organization's Humanitarian Appreciation and Fundraising Dinner, which was also the celebration of the 20th anniversary of Mercy in Kuala Lumpur. Also present was Raja Permaisuri Perak, Tuanku Zara Salim. Tan Sri Dr. Jamilah, who was unable to attend the ceremony, was represented by her husband, Dato' Dr. Azhar Abdullah. Meanwhile, former Chief Executive Officer of Khazanah Nasional Berhad, Tan Sri Azman Mokhtar, was awarded the Special Humanitarian Leadership Award. The dinner was attended by 400 guests and raised 200,000 ringgit, which will be used to support humanitarian work within Malaysia. And on to sports, we begin with local football. Malaysian champions Johor Darul Takzim or JDT-FC have reached the semi-finals of the 2019 Malaysia Cup after defeating Terengganu FC 4-1 in the quarter-final second leg at the Tan Sri Dato' Haji Hassan Yunus Stadium in Larkin. Now, Brazilian forward Diogo Luis Santos had scored for the record Malaysia Super League champions as they edged TFC 1-0 in the first leg held at the Sultan Ismail Nasiruddin Shah Stadium in Terengganu. At home, JDT were at the top of the game from the get-go and blew away the opposition in the first 45 minutes. Gonzalo Cabrera opened the scoring for the Southern Tigers in the 16th minute through a penalty, while Malaysia international winger Safawi Rashid made it 2-0 6 minutes later. Safawi once again struck in the 36th minute before Cabrera made his own brace by scoring in the 30th minute. Terengganu pulled one back in the dying minutes in the first half. With the goals, Safawi rose to the top of the goals scorer chart for the tournament, having netted 7 times so far, ahead of his teammates Cabrera and Diogo, as well as Terengganu's Kipre Chiche, who have all 6 goals apiece. And that item concludes this evening's edition of News on 2. In our top story, no more extension for IRB's voluntary tax disclosure program. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Adrian Seat. Stay tuned to TV2 and have a pleasant evening.